brew. It was a brew.
Brew.
American accent is so mundane. It's
no accent.
It's no accent, yeah. That's the way to speak English. So, the recommended approach is, first of all, I'm asking you guys to skip to the first specific question, which is exactly what I told you here. Then, make sure throughout, I told you, this is an MO. You have to do 2 after you did 1, or the 3rd stage after you did the 1st stage. But I also want you to know general tips. And the second general tip that I want you guys to do is always, always, always read the first sentences
of the first paragraph
of each paragraph. Got it? Always. I don't care, even if they tell you, hey, even if question number 1 refers you to the 5th line of the 3rd paragraph. No, I still want you to read the first sentences of each of the paragraphs. Got it? Yeah?
באיזה שלב?
תמיד.
בהתחלה?
לא, כמו שאמרתי. This is MO. This is not MO. These are general tips. I always want you to work inside of a booklet, and I always want you to read, I want you to read the first sentences of each paragraph. Always. Even if you think that you don't need it. Even if somebody is referring you to something that's far from the first sentence, I still want you to read the first sentence. By the way, if you work like this, usually on the psychometric, you can sometimes solve, get a perfect score by reading as little as 40% of the entire passage. On the SATs, you can get a perfect score even by reading 60%. By reading as little as 60%. Got it? And you read it only once. People who don't use this, you know how much they read? They usually read about 120, 150%. Which means, what does it mean to read 150% of a passage?
Twice.
Exactly. Some areas, some portions of the passage, they're going to read twice. Got it? And here, you usually, if you're really proficient, usually you would get it down to 68 and 60%. Usually it's somewhere around 60 or 80%. So never does an experienced person read the entire passage. Never ever. נכון, אבל אני רוצה שלשם תכוונו. בסדר? רק שתדעו that's one of the big changes that people do. On my TOEFL classes, they are slightly more familiar with it. I literally ask them to stop reading. The second it doesn't make sense, stop reading. And when you do that in the classroom, suddenly you realize that, instead of reading 100 words for 5 answer choices, I read only 23. So that works really, really nicely. Okay. No. Even less so than what's going on here. Yeah, so read the first sentences of each one of the paragraph, jump to or skim read it to locate the specific item, and then read thoroughly. Yeah, I would ask you to do this more so than to do this. Yeah, skim read, just know generally what's going on. If you're pressed for time, if you know exactly what the paragraph is talking about, and they refer you to line number 8, read the first sentence, which is, let's say, 2.5 lines, and then skip to line 8. As long as you know what's going on, you should be fine. And then read thoroughly. Put a ksor at the start and at the end of the portions that you read. Usually, as I told you, the start is going to be fluent. It's going to be flowing. It's the ending that I need to be paying attention to. So obviously, the end of the answer location for question number 2 is probably going to be the start of the answer location for question number 3. Put a story at the start and at the end of the portions that you read. As I told you can read as little as 60%. Predict. This is something that I haven't told you, but I want you guys to please highlight this as well. Predict the answer. Don't, especially for us non-native English speakers, don't just go to the answer choices like a lamb to the slaughter, right? Think about it actively, and then you have the upper hand when you go to the answer choices. Got it?
So I read the question.
You read the question. You go here. Yes.
First line.
Go ahead.
In the paragraph.
Yeah, of each paragraph. Yeah.
Of each paragraph.
Yeah.
And then I jump to the
specific location. Brilliant. Yeah.
Look for the answer.
Yeah. Are you doing this because you're filming yourself? No.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I hate hearing myself.
Yeah?
I don't like hearing myself.
Okay, good. No.
So
Yeah.
then I put an Excel and back
Yeah.
to the question.
Back into the answer choices, yes? And then you mark it. Got it?
So when I predict,
This is predict. Between 3 and 4, predict. Got it? Before you go into the answer choices, always try to predict, because in the answer choices they're going to, as I told you, throw you in about 4 or 5 different directions, and I want you guys to know where you're headed to. Good. So
when you read the question, you
Yeah.
also read the
No,
answer
don't read the
choices?
answer choices. No. Don't read. Usually, it's better not. 80%, 85% of the time, don't read the answer choices. Sometimes it is slightly helpful. Yeah, sometimes it is slightly helpful, and the distinction is really problematic. Usually, if you have many pieces of information in a passage and you get a feel for it, then it makes sense to know what shows up in the answer choice. But 5 out of 6 times, it's not going to be the case. So I'm going according to the majority. Usually, it's not good. Don't read the answer choices. So predict the answer, review the answer choices. Don't forget to eliminate. People usually don't eliminate really well.
Cake.
Repeat, answer general questions. Now, sometimes people tell me, literally, I would show them a reading comprehension passage that we did together, and we only read about 66% of it, 2/3 of it. And then they need to answer a general question, and they would tell me, come on, I haven't even read the entire passage. How is it possible that I would be able to answer 2 difficult general questions that have to do with the passage? How would you answer that?
Because you read the first
Not only.
sentence.
How can you answer a general idea of a passage if you, first of all, answered the specific questions, but you didn't read the entire passage?
I think
No.
you eliminate the answers that look.
Too specific, yeah, but that's not it, no. Listen, think about it. You with me? Think about it. You get to the general questions once after you've answered the specific ones. You already answered 6, 7, 8, 10 specific questions, which means you know what the passage is talking about. Of course. Got it? That's why. Eliminate and choose. Don't forget to repeat. Answer general questions, paying special attention to the first sentences of each paragraph, which again, Shah, is what I told you to read the first sentences of each paragraph, and pay special attention to names, abbreviations. And I told you if the 2 small interrelated critical reasoning passages appear, for example, on page 195, simply read both and then answer the questions. Got it? So this method applies to about 90% of what shows up on the examination. 90% of the times you have a passage, questions. Passage, questions. Sometimes you have 2 passages and then questions. If you have 2 passages, then simply read them both. First. I'm not going to ask you to go back and forth from the questions. Got it? Okay, good. Yeah, go ahead.
To read all the passages?
Yes. Usually they're smaller. It's not that big a deal. Just when you do have it, and please, you don't have it written here. You can also add here that I'm asking you to pay attention. If you have 2 small critical reasoning passages, pay attention to the differences between them. It's always going to be about the differences between them. לשים לב להבדלים. זה כמו ב-integrated tasks on the TOEFL, נכון? ב-integrated tasks on the TOEFL, הם נותנים לך קטע קריאה וקטע שמיעה, ושואלים אותך על ההבדלים ביניהם. זה די אומר, שפה יש לך 2 קטעי קריאה.
תמיד יש שאלות על שתיהם ביחד?
Yeah, how the one refers to the other one, how, yeah.
זה קטעים על אותו נושא כאילו?
Yeah, it's about the same topic. The 2, they are interrelated. הם קשורים זה לזה, נכון? It's just that one of them is probably going to have one approach and the other one is going to have a different approach. Let me show you, just because you guys seem to be curious about it. We have 5 senses in which we glory. Senses. So this is about the 5 senses, right? A person can know something and apply that knowledge, but can also know something without applying that knowledge. Got it? So senses obviously allow you to know, to feel your surrounding. By the way, אין לנו 5 חושים, יש לנו יותר. למשל מסוגלים לחוש במגע. ובטמפרטורה, נכון? האור והשמש.
שמסתכלים עלינו גם.
מה?
שמסתכלים
לא,
עלינו.
לא, זה לא.
זה הרגשה.
למה? אבל זה הרגשה. נגיד אם אני עכשיו מסתכלת, אני יכולה להגיד מי להסתכל.
לא, לא. זה אף פעם לא, it never holds to scientific scrutiny. מה זה סקרוטיני?
scrutinize זה לבחון.
scrutinize זה לבחון, מצוין. So scrutiny זו בחינה מקרוב, נכון מקרוב. So got it? Rubik, it's kind of, these two are talking about the same thing. Good. Moving on, please. A couple of tips. I want you guys to pay special attention to how the essay flows from one idea in paragraph to the next. Is the author trying to explain, describe, or argue certain aspect? I know that this is school. I know that this is academia. But remember, researchers and scientists are people too. They are biased. Different people have different opinions, and those opinions affect the way that they speak and think. What is to affect?
להשפיע.
להשפיע. נכון?
לחבר.
מה?
Affectation? Affection. Affection. ומה זה affect?
השפעה.
Please write both of these down because usually people get. Oh yeah, you did? Okay, good.
יש שם את זה שוב.
Please pay attention that affect is with an A and affect is with an E. Actually, it's not that clear cut. To affect is to affect is actually to bring about. Affect can also be a verb, and affect can also be the noun. But you know, for the sake of simplification, let's leave it as that, as is. You can usually eliminate, okay, this is nice, please highlight this. You can usually eliminate answer choices that are extreme. Remember, when I was writing the book, for example, one of the easiest tricks for somebody who's writing questions is to say, okay, I have the correct answer choice, and then let's make up two answer choices, and you know what, let's just add another one or two answer choices that are throwaways. Throwaways are answer choices that are really easy to eliminate. How do you create throwaways? You just make it extreme. Got it? So you can use that knowledge and you can say, if I have the word always, must, etc., you know, 95% these are not going to be the correct answer choices unless the passage itself is extreme. However, it's not bloody likely that the passage is going to be extreme. Why? Because it's the ETS, it's the College Board, it's educational testing service. They want to educate you, got it? They don't want to just test your reading comprehension. They want to educate you while doing that. So it's not going to be extreme. You know, kids think, you know, in black and white. The more you grow up, the more you realize there are, you know, multiple shades of gray. But sometimes 50. Questions? No? Yeah. You can, and this is also nice, you can also eliminate answer choices that, please highlight this, contradict general knowledge. I told you earlier that no general knowledge is required. How contradict sotot, contra, hafuch. So, Shai, if let's say, for example, you know about computers, and one of the passages talks about technology, and it tells you that, let's say, in 1 megabyte, let's say 1 megabyte, you have 16 megabits, and you go like, no, I know this is incorrect. I know that there has to be a ratio of 1 to 8. You should have that motion. But they will all explain it to you. My point is that if you know that for a fact based on your general knowledge, and one answer choice tells you something that you know for a fact is incorrect, eliminate that answer choice. Why? Again, because they would want to educate you. It was here, right? They wouldn't want to tell you, they wouldn't want to teach you something that contradicts reality. Got it? Map out the passage. Usually you don't need to do that. You can put this in parentheses. But I do want, instead of doing that, instead of literally mapping out the passage, I do want you guys to summarize the passage on the left margin. So, good. At home, I can talk to you guys about this a lot, but it's not that problem. It's not that big a deal. I want you guys to review this. Obviously, you can see that if somebody tells you in lines 19 through 20, what kind of a question is that? It's a specific question, right? So ID זה זיהוי, question time זה כמובן הסוג, ו-MO זו השיטה. איך אני בעצם, נניח איך אני פותר את השאלות האלה, בסדר? אז אם את רואה שמפנים אותך לאזור מסוים, מה שאת רוצה לעשות זה לאתר את הטקסט הרלוונטי, לקרוא בזהירות ולפסול תשובות שהן כלליות מדי. If somebody's asking you the word Ryan probably means, and it's a difficult word by the way, then this is a word meaning. What do I need to do? I need to go back to the text and plug in the answer choices, and it has to make sense in the context. Remember, unlike the TOEFL, this examination is for people whose native tongue is English, which means that either they're going to use very difficult words, and then they would test your reading based on your understanding based on the context, or they would use slightly more familiar words, however, obscure meanings, exactly. They would use secondary or tertiary meaning. What is secondary?
שני.
שניוני, נכון, משני. מה זה tertiary, tertiary? שלישוני, נכון. משמעות, איך את יודעת את זה?
כי אני שמעתי אותו אומר את זה.
Three, נכון מאוד, מצוין, מצוין. אז להשכלה, יש, you have school, you have high school, you have academia. Academia is tertiary. זה הרמה שלישונית של השכלה. בעיקר במדינות אירופיות.
הם גם,
Purpose, I'm sorry, purpose or title or theme or main idea or the passage is primarily concerned with. Obviously, this is a general question. What do I need to do? I need to pay attention to the first and last paragraphs, to the structured column, and eliminate answer choices containing specific data. Got it? This is quite nice. This is a very nice table because it tells you every single type of question what you need to do. Be sure to review it. Be sure to, I wouldn't say know it by heart, but literally know exactly, at least make sure that it clicks. Make sure that you do understand what it means. I'm sorry, you wanted to ask something. Go.
הם יכולים להגיד לי to refer to a whole passage, כאילו, ואז זה גם specific או לא?
No. If it's a whole passage, it's a general question. Any other questions? Any other questions? No. Okay, good. So at home, I'm going to ask you guys to do that. Now, because this was, last week's lesson, I'm not going to do a sample with you guys here, but most of you are familiar with that type of work. Regardless, I want you guys to do a good job at home with these, and to bring me, please make sure, please remind me that I want to show you at least one passage here together, exactly how we saw it. Got it? I don't want to only teach it and just put the burden on your shoulders. I want to show you, let's be sure that we saw one or two passages here. It's slightly time consuming, I don't like it, but from the point of view of what it gives to you, I love it. I mean, it's really beneficial. So, going back to the book, on page 195 you have two passages. So up until page 194, they just teach you concepts, and then, no, you know what? I guess between all of those, it's up to you guys if you want to solve these. You have, and it's page 208. Listen. You don't have to do that. You don't, but do know that you do have certain reading passages there. I have a problem with McGraw-Hill's reading comprehension passages. They're slightly more difficult than the SAT reading comprehension passages. It's it's not difficult good. It's difficult, sometimes unfair. Got it? As somebody who wrote these things, I can tell you that some of their answer choices are not legit, because you cannot expect a student to really know the difference between the two. It's not fair. It's somebody basically injected their external general knowledge into the passage, and it's not fair. Got it? So they do that every now and then. So this is optional. You have a lot of other work. What you can do basically on these pages, you can solve, the critical reasoning passages. If you want. It's not a must. I'm putting this in parentheses. You have enough work. What I'm not going to compromise with you guys on is I want you guys to review and complete lesson number. Which one is this? 5. Okay. Lesson number 5. Yes.
רמת review on.
אני יודע, but here I want you to review all of the previous lessons as well, right? But be sure to review and complete. In this case, I want you guys to know the different types of questions. So, thank you for your patience. Why don't we come back at 1:45, and then